glasses off so that
Okay. So I am here with Jenny. Jenny is a part of Hands, Hearts, and Paws Dog Rescue.
yes.
And I am going to ask Jenny some questions, but basically the first question is more about you, Jenny, and tell us about how and why you got involved with this rescue.
Sure. So I started fostering for Midwest Dog Rescue, which is another Omaha dog rescue in 2011, I want to say 2011,
Wow.
2010, because I had just moved back here. My roommate said I could get a dog. And I was like, oh, I really want a dog, but dogs are kind of pricey. And I had just moved back from Connecticut and I was super broke because Connecticut is really expensive. And so she was like, oh, well, you could try fostering because they pay for, like vet care and everything like that. And then you just take care of it. And I was like, oh, I'd be so good at that because I love to take care of dogs. And so I started fostering for them. And then eventually I moved into my own house and got a little more active where before I would only take one at a time. And then I had my own house, I could take a couple at a time. And I kept one in the meantime, because that's what you do when you fall in love with your fosters. And Hands, Hearts, and Paws came into the picture one day because Midwest Dog didn't have any dogs that needed fostering at the time. And I was like, it's so quiet with just 2 dogs in the house. So I went looking for another dog and Hands, Hearts, and Paws had a dog that needed fostering. And that's how I got started with Hands, Hearts, and Paws.
So are you mainly just fostering with them or do you sit on the board or?
We don't really have a board per se, but we do have some foster homes are a little more active than others, as you can hear from the background.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone was being quiet until we started this call.
That's okay. It's what it's all about, right?
There's a few dogs here, yes.
Okay.
We don't have a board per se, but I tend to help out with a lot of the public appearances and things. As Debbie likes to say, I'm the people person of the rescue.
Well, yeah, you've been very helpful for me so far. So that's awesome. She picked the right person.
Kitty, come here. All right,
okay. Let's go to the next question. Is this the only rescue? Well, you kind of answered that. Is this the only rescue you have been involved with? No, you've been involved with at least one other.
It is currently the only rescue, but it's not been the only rescue ever. But yeah, it's the only rescue I'm with currently. So.
Okay, and so that's been how long have you been with them again?
2013 is when I started.
Okay. Long time.
Easter weekend of 2013. Yes, it has been. So Hands, Hearts, and Paws only started that previous fall. So pretty close to the beginning of, Debbie, who runs our rescue, has been fostering and doing rescue for a lot longer than that, but it has only been an official rescue since September of 2012.
Okay, very good. How does Hands, Hearts, and Paws obtain their rescues?
We get them from a number of different sources. Sometimes we have people from the community reach out to us. Something might have happened where they can't take care of their dog or a variety of different situations. And then we'll do what we call owner surrender, where they'll sign over the ownership of the dog to us and we'll get the dog any vet care that it still needs. We'll get it taken out. Sometimes dogs have really high medical needs. Like we've taken dogs that were in car accidents or maybe were found in fields or had been shot, lots of different things where the owner maybe can't afford to take care of that. So we'll take the dogs and we don't turn them away just because there's going to be a cost involved.
Okay.
We also take dogs out of overcrowded shelters. Not usually here in Nebraska because the shelters aren't as crowded as some places like Kansas and Missouri have really overcrowded shelters because they don't have very strict laws about breeding. So there's just a lot of extra dogs down there. Recently, we've been taking a lot of dogs from Louisiana because Louisiana is full of stray dogs. A lot of dogs that live just on the street. So their shelters are pretty full a lot lot of the time. So we'll take a lot of dogs from down there. The sad part about that is there's a high rate of heartworm and parvo down in Louisiana. So we have to kind of make sure
Kind of quarantine them,
dog.
quarantine
Yep.
a little bit. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So you must have like volunteers that help transport the dogs and things like that.
Yeah, we usually meet them for the Louisiana trips. We meet them in Arkansas.
Okay.
And because that's about halfway, it's about a little over 6 hours for each leg of the journey. So 6 hours there, 6 hours back. Makes for a long day, but you get a car full of cute puppies at the end of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So does the rescue then hear about it from other states, not just Louisiana? Because you must have a partnership with somebody down there. But other states, do they reach out to you guys?
Debbie gets a lot of emails to our Hands Hearts Paws email group. There's also several rescue leader Facebook pages that she's a part of that they can reach out that way too. I'm not a part of any of those groups, so I'm not really quite sure what that looks like, but I do know that she gets those, and people will contact our Facebook page. A lot of times those messages go directly to her through the Facebook.
Okay, awesome. So kind of give us a little bit of what is the process for adopting or applying for adoption through Hands, Hearts and Paws?
Sure. So we don't do anything on paper, but everything's electronic. So if you go to our website, that's the easiest way, because there's just like a little thing that you can fill out where you just type directly into the website and then submit it. We can also send you a blank copy, like a Word document that you can type on and send back in. And what happens after you fill that out is we take a look at your answers on there. We see if you have other animals. We always call your vet to make sure that you've been taking care of your animals. For our rescue, heartworm prevention is mandatory. We don't adopt out to homes that aren't going to do the same standard of care that we do in our own rescue. So if you don't keep your dogs current on heartworm prevention, we won't unfortunately adopt out to you, just because we feel that's a really important part of medical care.
Right.
And then once we contact your vet, if you don't have vet history, that doesn't necessarily count you out. In most instances, there will be some dogs that we think would be better in an experienced dog home. And so it just kind of depends on the dog, but not having vet history does not necessarily count you out. It just kind of depends on case by case. Once you pass that, there's an email sent to the foster home. Since all the dogs live individually in our houses, we don't have a shelter or anything where you can just go meet dogs whenever you want. But once you fill out that application and you get approved, they'll put you in contact with the foster home that has the dog you're interested in. You can meet them one-on-one. We also do Saturday meet and greets where you can meet the dogs. And then if you decide to adopt, we always do a home visit where we'd like to meet the other members of the family, and plus any animals that might live there, because a lot of times, some dogs don't get along, and we want to make sure that everybody in the house is a good fit for humans and for other animals. Where I've had multiple dogs where I don't have cats. I'm not a cat person. I like cats just fine. I just don't have room for them in the house with litter boxes and things like that. So so I don't know what a dog is necessarily going to do when they see a cat. And I've had a couple where the family was great, but the dog wanted to eat the cat or, something like that. And so unfortunately, we have to walk away at that point because it's not the best for the family. But we want to make sure that it's good for everyone. It's not going to be just because the humans want it to be so, it doesn't make it be so.
Right. Okay. So in the adoption process, I know that some adoption agencies allow you to fill out one application and it stays active for so long. Others want you to send in an application per dog that you want to adopt. How is your guys' structured?
We do not keep them on file, but if you meet a dog and it's not the right fit and there's another dog that you want to meet, we will send your information to that next foster home. But if you say apply today and then say, well, none of these dogs really fit what I'm looking for, and then 6 months down the road want to look again, that's totally fine. You just have to refill that
Apply.
application.
Okay, that's good
Because we do not
information.
keep it on file. Yep.
Okay. So are there any recommendations besides, the vet care and things like that? Do you have for somebody who wants to adopt more specifically, they're concerned, what are you looking for in the house, or they're just nervous in general about adoption? What advice would you give them?
You're welcome to come to a meet and greet on Saturday and speak to one of our volunteers. We'll help you, learn a little bit more about the process. Everybody's pretty friendly at those meet and greets. I love to talk to other people. So if you see my face, feel free to ask me any of the questions. I'm almost there almost every week, except for this year I've been taking in a lot of pregnant dogs. So there's a lot of spans of time, well, two is, I guess, plenty, but sometimes I won't be there just because I don't have a dog that can come because they're too little to come or whatnot. But just apply. If you're not ready to adopt, probably don't apply yet, because we move pretty fast. Some rescues take a little bit time.
Right.
We don't really take that long. As if there's nothing holding you back, then we'll move forward with adoption. So if you're just like, oh, I thought I'd adopt later this summer, maybe wait a little longer to apply. But you're welcome to come and pet dogs every Saturday.
How do you guys decide if multiple people want the same dog? It's not a first come, first basis. I'm pretty sure it's probably more of a first come if it's a fit, right? Then yes, but.
So we do, it's kind of a toss up, because if your application comes in first, we will process it. And if you seem like you'd be a good fit, we'll go for it. If there's something on there that we're like, oh, I don't really think that's probably going to work for us, we'll probably look at other applications ahead of that. So it just kind of depends. If there's something glaringly reason why we don't think that dog would work in your home, we're probably not going to put you in contact with that foster home, just because we don't think it's going to work out anyway.
Right.
But
yeah, I know some dogs have tons of applications, and you have to stop the applications after so much time.
My last litter of puppies, we had so many applications the day that they went for adoption that she had to stop accepting them because she couldn't go through all of them fast enough. So yeah, it just kind of
I can see that
on each dog.
Yeah. So let's just say somebody is denied. Is that kind of the end of end, or are there things that maybe strategies they can work on personally and maybe reapply?
So it kind of depends on the reason that you got denied. Another reason why we deny a lot of homes is tie outs. They're just not safe. And so if you say got denied because you want to use a tie out for a means of containment, if you down the line get a fence, you're welcome to reapply. Okay. If you don't do heartworm prevention, just because some people don't know that heartworm prevention is really important. Some vets don't really stress it. And if you say, no, I don't want that, then they don't really push the issue with you. Right. But so get your dog caught up on that. And then maybe in a year, when we.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If there's, if we recheck your vet history and now your animals are all current and have been for a year or two, that is definitely something that we would reconsider your application. The biggest thing is, if you get denied, don't
be discouraged.
Oh no, I know. Not gonna read.
I know some people probably take it personally, don't they? Because it's what? I don't qualify for a dog.
Everybody, thinks that they're the best dog parents, and you might be great, but these are the rules we have in place. Right. And we do it for because we believe it's in the best interest of the dog. And right. So it might not be what everyone agrees on, but that is what we hold as a standard for our adoption. So there are lots of other dogs that need homes in Nebraska and all over the Midwest. So
right. Yeah, definitely. So how is your pricing determined? Because I know a lot of people, I see blogs, I see stuff online that says it's out of control, there's too pricey. It's but I know, because I've adopted several, but tell the audience what goes into your pricing.
Sure. So our main adoption fee is $300, and that is actually lower than a lot of rescues in the area.
Yeah.
It's higher than the Humane Society, but also the Humane Society has a lot of financial backing from donors and things like that. We don't have quite as many donors as that. We one day maybe, but our adoption fee goes towards veterinary care. Sometimes we will have a dog that we charge a little bit more for, whether it's because we've had to put a ton of, someone might have had to have surgery or things like that. So we might charge a little bit more to try to recoup those fees. But we are trying to make it so that it's affordable, but still get, cover. We can't take in medically needy dogs if we don't have the funds to pay for those surgeries. Right. And sometimes we spend, multiple thousands of dollars on a dog. I had a dog 2 summers ago that had a PRAA, which is persistent right aortic arch, I believe, is what that stands for. And so it was causing her to have mega esophagus, and no one would touch the surgery because it's kind of tricky when you start talking about heart defects. And so we had to take her to Iowa State to get that surgery done.
Wow.
Over $4,000.
Wow.
Her adoption fee was still only $300. Mm-hmm. But so we had to pay for that $4,000. And sometimes we get dogs that don't really need a lot of vet care done, so their cost is a little bit lower, but we still charge that $300 so that we can kind of make it up for the ones that cost a little bit more. We want that adoption fee to stay reasonable and affordable. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes we'll get in dogs that are like, a high demand breed, or like a Great Dane. I've had multiple Great Danes. We charge a little bit more for that because, everybody's like, oh, Great Danes are so cool, I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
To think a little bit harder on that because they eat a lot, take up a lot of space. They're really cool dogs, but we want you to be really serious that that's a dog for you. And also, so there's one reason we ask a little bit more for that. And also because, a purebred dog, you're not going to find a purebred dog for, less than $500. Mm-hmm. Anywhere, basically. Right. But it does help us make up the difference for those dogs that did cost a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Just charging a little bit more for those dogs. So it just kind of depends on what their story is.
Right. Now, some agencies will charge less for an older dog because they're really trying to move those dogs through the system, as opposed to a younger puppy, that kind of stuff. But your prices are all right at $300. Except for the ones you said are more purebred.
They start at $300. So we did have a dog. Oh, I can't remember his name, but it was a couple months ago where his adoption fee was $600, but he had cost multiple thousands of dollars to have a lot of surgeries and things like that. And I think he was like a little poodle mix. So it just kind of depends on that specific dog. If they needed a lot more vet care, we sometimes will raise the price as well. But we're not pocketing that money. It's all going back into the dogs. Right. Our vet bills at the end of the day are still much more than we take in with adoption fees.
Right. Okay. So my other question was then, does all the money go back into the rescues? And you've answered that one. So I really appreciate that.
None of us get paid.
You're all volunteer. I know. Yeah. I've volunteered for some agents, for doing some questionnaires and research and stuff like that for some. So I do know you guys do a lot of work.
The most we get is around Christmas time. The rescue does take us out one night where they pay for drinks. That's pretty much the most that we get paid.
Well, sometimes that's nice too, right? Just to show appreciation.
Once a year appreciation night for the rescue. So
yeah, definitely. Let's see. How can someone get involved if they can't adopt?
Every Saturday we do meet and greets at various stores around the area. So we always need people to help hold leashes. If you can't do that, we're very active on Facebook, where every day we have a spotlight for a different dog that is, ready to be adopted. So you can share that. That's one way you can help. We don't need you to take the dogs into your home to be helpful. Share their stories on Facebook, come and help hold leashes at meet and greets. You know, sometimes people, we talked earlier about transport. We usually have the same people go to Arkansas, but sometimes they're not available and we need to have somebody else drive down there. Or sometimes we get dogs from like the Kansas City area. We need someone to meet us about halfway for Kansas City. So there's, or, you know, there's all sorts of different ways to get involved with
Okay.
that.
So they would just go to your guys' website and apply to be a volunteer?
Yeah, so usually it's Facebook posts. We do most of our things on Facebook.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so I typically have a lot of fosters, so I'll post in meet and greets if I need help holding leashes, like, you know, these dogs would like to come, but I need a couple people to come and help, or we can't all come.
Right.
And then people are welcome to respond there. Or if you know you have a Saturday where you are free, you can always post in the meet and greet, say, hey, does anybody need help? And then someone usually will take you up on that.
My daughter and I actually was helping with one of the rescues, and one, we really liked being able to help them with the little kids, because all the little kids want to hold it. But if you're a foster mom with several dogs, it's hard to monitor the little kids holding it. So my daughter and I would like supervise the little kids holding. And also there would be a foster mom that said, hey, I can't bring my foster. Can somebody stop and pick her up? And we did that a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. What about unadoptable dogs? I know that's kind of one of those things we don't like to talk about, but I know you have to have some dogs that are just like they have failed families or failed to be adopted.
So one of the cases that come to mind, we had one dog that didn't really like other dogs and he didn't really like people, and he ended up just being a long-term foster in a foster home. He did pass away from old age, maybe a year or two ago. So sometimes that happens. We don't want to euthanize if at all possible. Right. So we'll try everything to avoid that. If a dog is aggressive and it's unpredictable to the point where we don't feel that we can trust them in a situation, we would hate to put a dog in a home and then he hurt someone, or, you know, especially like a child or something like that. So I mean but that's our last case scenario. Like we don't want to have to euthanize a dog because we don't feel that they're adoptable. Right. We'll do everything that we can within reason to try to make them, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that its safety is a big concern for us.
Okay. So, awesome. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So does all the money that you guys bring in only come from adoptions, or do you guys have fundraisers, donations?
We will take donations anytime. We're always looking for things like cleaning supplies, especially like bleach, paper towels, laundry detergent is a big thing, especially like, so I have a pregnant dog. If you follow our rescue page right now, there's a dog on there named Oregon. She has not had her babies yet, but she could have them anytime in the next week or two. And once those babies are here, I'm going to be doing a lot of laundry. You know, babies are messy. And so, you know, we love donations of laundry detergent, you know, wipes, baby wipes, Clorox wipes, paper towels are great. If you redid your bedroom and got all new sheets, sometimes we take donation of like towels and bedding. You know, we'll take that stuff too. And then we do big fundraisers. Like we just had an online auction where I'm not sure what we ended up raising with that, but it was pretty successful, where we collected a bunch of things to auction off, and then people had a week to place bids on them. We used to do an in-person big fundraiser, but with COVID, we haven't done it in a couple of years. We hope to pick that back up in the future. It's just with, you know, the way things are, we didn't want to get a big group of people together. So we thought that the online auction was a safer alternative for right now. But we do those kind of fundraisers. Sometimes there will be like independent sellers of like Scentsy or was it 31, those bags? Is it that what? we've had people where they were like, okay, from this date to this date, all of my proceeds, or I'll donate, like 10% or 20% of my sales to Hands, Hearts and Paws, and then we'll share that. We also, in June, I want to say, there's a golf outing
Oh, okay.
that we'll be promoting here pretty soon, that people can they're going to donate some proceeds of that to our rescue. And then I have to go to a beef game and accept one of those big checks.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. So
exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. But we almost never turn down opportunities for fundraising if we can.
Oh, definitely.
Because sometimes we have a lot of bills. I think we spend over 100 grand on vet bills every year. So
wow, that's crazy. What do you feel like your rescue, what does your rescue feel like their biggest need right now? If somebody says, I have something I'd like to contribute, what is the biggest need you would say you have right now?
I would say the cleaning supplies are probably the biggest thing. Personally, I go through a ton of paper towels and laundry detergent. I know treats and dog food are also, because we have to feed everybody.
Right.
So dog food for sure. We can always use dog food and things like that.
Okay. So basically that's the end of my questions, except for, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, you did ask me sometimes, like, if we ever like discount a fee for older dogs or things like that, and we don't usually, because they're older, but like certain cases we will discount or waive the fee. Right now we have a dog in rescue. Her name is Whitney. She's a pit bull mix, and she loves adult humans, but she's not really fond of a lot of other dogs, and she doesn't like little kids, and so we're having a really hard time placing her in the right home. The right home is out there, we just haven't found it yet. Most dog lovers already have other dogs, so it's kind of hard to find that right home for her. But currently we are waiving her adoption fee should that right home come around. So we do sometimes discount our adoption fees for things like that. Okay.
I did think of one more question.
Sure.
I have the group members in this Facebook group is from all over. There's no, there's different states. It's not just from the Omaha, Nebraska area. And how would you guys go about getting that adoption completed if somebody was from a different state?
Sure. Since we always do a home visit, we will reach out to, say someone in Minnesota wanted to adopt her. We would reach out to other rescues in the Minnesota area and ask them to complete the home visit.
Oh, good.
And then the people would just have to be willing to come here to do the adoption. We had one lady fly in and then rent a car and drive home.
I've seen some of those posts for a lot of the rescues, and I just think to myself, I've seen people say, I'm getting in my car, I'm headed there now, Yep. And so that's amazing.
We've had dogs adopted as far away as Alaska.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's some dedication.
There's a dog that lives somewhere in an island off of Florida where they own an island, and now one of our dogs lives there.
Oh my goodness gracious. Living the dream, right?
You want to adopt a 39-year-old woman? Because I would also live there.
That's great. Or, I could definitely bring the dog to you and just spend a week, right?
Yeah. Pay me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jenny, I super, super appreciate your time today, and especially being my very, very first interview. And hopefully I don't have any technical difficulties. If I do, I might reach out to you for another interview.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You let me know if you need anything.
I will. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, it was nice to chat with you.
You too. All right. I'm going to